Okay, Curt, you're about to enter your 12th fall camp as a member of the UMD coaching staff and 7th in a head coaching role. What still excites you about this time of year?
Well, having an opportunity to see the guys come back that have been here all summer, off a little bit of a break here, and see those guys come back and have an opportunity to get that group to gel. We're going to have a chance to welcome in, I think, 32 or 33 newcomers into our program. Have an opportunity to see those guys integrate with our upperclassmen, and any college athletic, you have an opportunity to see new guys lead your program. New guys have an opportunity to go through some tough times and some good times, and at the end of the day, be able to make 103 guys click on Saturday afternoon.
Speaking of coaching staff, yours underwent some substantial revamping with the hiring of both a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, new offensive line coach, and the elevation of longtime assistant John Steger to associate head coach. How has the acclimation process been with those folks?
Yeah, I think things have gone great. There's always going to be some growing pains, and fortunately we haven't had a lot of those yet, but we haven't been under fire in a game situation yet. So, we had an all-staff meeting last week, and I'm the only guy returning on staff that actually has the same responsibilities as we did last year. So we've worked hard this spring and this summer as a staff to make sure that we're on point and prepared for Sunday when those guys get here and our team checks in. So it's been good. We're very fortunate. I'm very fortunate to have guys like John Steger and Trey Dill that have been mainstays on our staff, and then to be able to bring in people like Marcus McGlynn, Garth Aiken, and Chase Vogler, and our interns. I'm excited about the group. So they've younger staff gives you a little bit more energy and has an opportunity to take us, hopefully to different levels.
And look at the prospects for 2019, starting with the offense. First question revolves around the return of your all-NSSC junior quarterback, John Larson. He missed basically the entire second half of last season with a lower body injury. Is he back at full strength now, and what can Bulldog followers expect out of him this fall?
He is. John is. He had a good summer. In spring he was a little bit limited, but he's back. His ankle's in a good position that he's going to be full strength here for this fall camp. My expectation for John Larson is, for the first time in his career, he's in a position where he's not competing. He's not competing for the spot. John's our starting quarterback. He's known that all offseason. So his role now has changed a little bit in the sense that he now has become a leader for us, a captain for us. So the pressure is off him, in my opinion, as far as the competition things. But there's a reason John's the player he is. He knows internally he needs to continue to compete and be good at practice, be good off the field, and do a good job leading our entire football team. So that's my expectation for him. Is he has a good season. We'll be as good as he is, and as good as everybody else is around him, as good as John's going to be this fall.
And along those same lines, what do you see as some of your other strengths on the offensive side of football?
Yeah, I think our receiving core coming back. You look at Obi, Nick Eliason, Dane Hudson, Johnny McCormick. Those guys have played a lot of snaps for us. Our tight ends, I think, athletically are maybe as good as we've had. We have 3 really talented tight ends coming back. We're younger in our offensive line, but honestly, that's not a giant concern. I think Coach Aikinen has done a good job working with those guys in the spring, developing those guys, and we have some depth there. Although we're youthful in that depth, we have some depth. And then you look at our tailback position right now, returning Wade Sullivan, who I think Wade can be as talented as anybody in the conference. So offensively, we have some pieces that we're going to need to be able to put together, but the pieces are there. It's just getting these guys in fall camp and making sure we can gel and all head in the right direction.
You mentioned an offensive line. You do return just one full-time start from a year ago, Noah LeBlanc. Who do you see filling some of those? You mentioned you're not too concerned, but who do you see filling some of those first-team spots?
Well, Brent Lang will return. We moved Brent from tackle. Brent played quite a bit for us last year. Brent will move to tackle. Jake Zeiler, who played a significant amount last year at tackle, he was dinged up a little bit, but Jake Zeiler will play the tackle position for us. Noah LeBlanc will return. Zach Aruru returns. And then we're going to have some young guys that are going to fight for. Dan Bartle returns as a senior. And Dan's had some injuries throughout his career, but will finally have an opportunity to come into fall camp healthy, in shape and compete. And then we have a long list of young guys that are going to be in roles that those guys are going to need to push the upperclassmen that have some experience and also compete for a couple open spots.
And switching over to defense, you returned 6 starters from a unit that gave up the fewest overall in rushing yards in D2 football last fall. If that kind of ball-stopping prowess is going to continue this year, who do you see leading the charge?
Yeah, well, hopefully our defensive captain, starting up front with Tom Johnson. Tom had a really good offseason for us. And just like Tom Johnson, or John Larson, Tom's in a position where he's no longer a guy competing for a spot. Tom's a starter for us. He's now in a captain role. Isaac Erdman's in that same spot at the linebacking core. Those two guys, certainly with their front seven, are guys that are going to need to play significant roles in leadership, significant roles in playmaking ability on Saturday afternoon. We returned Nate Pearson as a all-conference linebacker for us. Dan Munson up front, Emmanuel Jada up front. So we have we're maybe a little smaller up front as far as weight than we have been in the past. But athletically, I think we're in a pretty good position coming back this fall. And then in the back half, Bill Atkins has been a mainstay for us in the back half at safety. He returns as a captain, along with Justice King, Michael Kirkendall, Austin Carrillo. Those 4 guys will play significant roles in our secondary. So they've all played a lot of snaps for us. It's again, that's the excitement of coming into fall camp, is getting these guys to have an opportunity to now. We don't have the 24, 25 seniors that we just graduated. Their leadership, the Mitchell Johnsons are gone. That was the Swiss Army knife of our defense. We need to now fill those roles with other guys.
And you've added quite a few transfers this year's team, college transfers. I think more than normal, and this includes a handful of guys from Division I schools. Who are some of those that you foresee making an immediate impact?
Well, Joe Cordes from the University of South Dakota. Joe came as an outside linebacker transfer for us as an outside linebacker. We had a need in that spot. Joe came in the spring, had a really good spring for us. On the offensive side, Armani Carmichael, Quincy Woods, those guys as receivers will play a significant role. And then Nathan Bursch up front as a defensive lineman. Nathan was a tight end at the University of Minnesota. We have a need for a little bit bigger body that has some playmaking ability up front, so he'll fill a role for us up front. And again, like freshmen, like guys that maybe come back and haven't played a significant amount for us, we're going to work with those guys to find out exactly what their niche, what their role, and how significant that role is going to be here this fall.
Finally, has been the case the past several years, the NSAC coaches in an annual preseason poll have Minnesota State and the Bulldogs the top 2 frontrunners this year. Is that what you envision, and who are some of the other league teams that you could see making a run at the league championship?
Yeah, that's, I think, the great part about the NSIC. In any given year, you're going to need to compete week in, week out. I think our league, as you stated earlier, this is my 12th season in the NSIC. I think our league from top to bottom gets better every year. The bottom teams 12 years ago right now are competing with a lot of the teams to the middle and potentially to the top. So tough question, obviously. Right now we're focused on Minot State, who we open up with on September 5th. But I think some of that is just history. History has told us that Mankato, Duluth, Winona, Sioux Falls, that those teams have been towards the top, and that's kind of what preseason polls are about. And fortunately, we get an opportunity to play 11 of them here this fall.